Okay, here's some way to contextualize and frame what we see today as the Supreme Court for the umpteenth time giving Donald Trump a procedural win. When I say procedural win, is that there's no substance to it, but the impact of it might as well be. So they did not say it's okay for ICE to harass and detain and tackle people based on the fact that they're Hispanic and at the bus stop working low menial jobs. They didn't say that. What they did was pause. Another judge, a district court judge in California, said that that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. In the United States, it doesn't matter if you are a citizen or not. Once you're on U.S. soil, the U.S. Constitution says everyone's entitled to Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful search and seizure, meaning that the government cannot search and seize you without, cannot stop you and detain you without reasonable suspicion that you did something wrong. She said the reasonable suspicion cannot be the fact that you're Hispanic, because we do know there are exchange students from European countries who cannot speak English, who are here on a temporary basis, who may be working low-wage job while they're a student. They're not getting tackled. They're only tackling the Hispanic and Latino ones because we know it's racism. So she says you can't do that. So when the Supreme Court did what they've done in several cases, I'm JJ Legal, I'm in the dockets. I follow the lawsuits filed against the Trump administration, and when Trump administration files lawsuits, so I'm giving you beyond the headlines, because the headlines tell you and scare the hell out of you. I'm following up and realizing that they lose a lot and they actually comply. People say they don't comply. They do, but we don't know it. So I've been telling you this, that they've been giving Donald Trump procedural wins, just pausing. So the analogy I've given in past video, because it's football season, it's like there is a game, the football game, and there's a penalty. The Trump does executive order, does something, flag on the play. The district court judge is equivalent to the referee that sees it, blows a whistle and stops it. The other Court of Appeals is equivalent to the other referees who weren't on the line, who come in the review. They say, yeah, you made the right decision. So the Trump administration said, you know what, bump y'all. I'm going to go to the owner of the box. And the owner of the box, which is the Supreme Court, says, let the game continue. While the review, in the football, there's like the folks that review. It kind of takes a long time. So let the review continue and the game can keep playing. So that's what the Supreme Court has been saying. So they didn't say the decision was bad. They didn't say the referees decision was bad. They didn't say that a penalty didn't take place. A penalty took place, but the Supreme Court's not saying that it's against the law. They're just saying that referee's decision to pause it temporarily is what they're stopping. They're stopping of the game while the review is continue. The Supreme Court says let the review continue. What could happen is next week, 2 weeks, she can complete her decision and she can say, hey, you know what? This is a violation of the 14th Amendment. This is a violation of the 4th Amendment. This is a violation of the 5th Amendment. It's unlawful. Stop it. And then the Court of Appeals, again, on substance, can say she's right, stop it. And then it can go to Supreme Court. And then they have the opportunity to say whether or not it's right or wrong. They have not said it's right or wrong yet. They've just paused it. Difference, very different. Effect is the same, but you should know the difference. A lot of people don't understand, or I don't know if they're clickbaiting or what, or if it's, I don't know. That's just the difference. So when it comes to some substance, the Supreme Court could actually say no. I listened to the oral arguments in the birthright citizenship case. They looked, all of them determined that, yeah, you can't, Donald Trump can't change birthright citizenship under the Constitution. He's violating the First Amendment, the 10th Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, ultra virus, which means exceeding his authority. He is usurping Congress's funds. They're aware. On substance, it's a loser. I can't bet no more because I didn't know they were going to be doing this crazy stuff. But on substance, a lot of things he's doing cannot be affirmed by the Supreme Court when it comes to them on substance. Now, what I think happened is, remember when Donald Trump says he's running out of time, and people thought it meant that he was running out of time on Earth when he's talking about he's trying to get closer to heaven and trying to get the Nobel Prize. We were all like, maybe he heard something from his doctor. No, I think what he means is that at some point soon, when these cases go up on substance, the Supreme Court is going to have to bat him down and say, yes, unlawful is unconstitutional. So he's run out of time to just go run roughshod and do all his crazy crap. Because Project 2025, it says, don't worry about whether it's legal. Just do it, because the destruction is there. You're going to move departments, dismantle things, tear things down. And so by the time the Supreme Court says you can't do that, it's too late. I think someone had that theory when I posted this on Threads. That's what it is. And it's also because when the midterms come, he's going to lose, most likely or not, because it always happens. The party of the president usually loses in the midterms. It happened to Barack Obama's first term, Joe Biden's first term, Donald Trump's first term. After 2 years, he loses the House and then possibly the Senate. If he loses the House, he's going to get impeached again. He's scared as shit. And if he loses the Senate significantly enough by 2/3, he can get convicted, and that's out. We get common sense gun control. We can get immigration reform. We can put some term limits. A lot of stuff we can do with 2/3. Operation 2/3. That's my campaign, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. So he is running out of time to do whatever he wants because the Supreme Court ultimately is going to knock him down. So that's a theory that I have. That's one. The second thing you should know, this might not bring you comfort, but I'm going to tell you anyway. On substance, the Supreme Court has routinely ruled against Donald Trump. It started in January when he said, please, please don't let them sentence me to 34 counts in New York. The Supreme Court was like, nah, go get your sentencing. So this Supreme Court told him to go get sentenced. Second, the Supreme Court also, when he took this guy, Kilmer Abrego Garcia, and there was a court said don't send him to El Salvador, and Christy Nomes and them send him to El Salvador anyway. The Supreme Court on substance said, hey, bring that guy back. So they ruled against him. Also, when Donald Trump's, when Elon was cutting stuff and taking people's money, and Russell Vought from the Office of Management and Budget was seizing funds and not paying people, the Supreme Court on a 5-4 said you can't give these people back their money. You have to pay them. They've already done the work. The Congress had allocated the funds. They did the work, paid them the money. That's a substantive decision. When they were gathering around these Venezuelan men and sending them to a torture prison for 100 days based on just saying you're a gang member and not giving the opportunity to them to defend themselves, have a lawyer to present evidence, the Supreme Court says you can't do that. You have to give people habeas corpus rights, no matter what. Everyone's entitled to that. That is a substantive decision. So on substance, the Supreme Court has routinely ruled against Donald Trump. There's a thing called, there's a case called Humphrey's Executor, I think, I think they're going to try to change that, which is essentially saying that Donald Trump cannot fire any independent agency chair or member unless he has a cause. I think they're trying to change it so that even the independent agencies will align with the ideology of whoever's in power and executive. I think they're maybe moving to that. That's the only thing on substance I think that give Donald Trump. Everything else is going to be a loss for him. And so on substance, they've routinely ruled against him. So that's just something to know, to put in your back pocket. Might not make you feel better, but you should know that. So they seem like they're so corrupt and they're totally in his pocket, but they've ruled against him repeatedly since January. So on substance, they've given him procedural, which is plausible. Like I said, thinking about my first theory is because they know they're about to lay the hammer down. Believe me or not. And the last thing you should know, the third thing is that when Joe Biden was in office, Democrats and liberals all about access, women's rights, abortion, and the bodily autonomy. So when a conservative organization went to this really conservative judge in Texas who issued a nationwide injunction blocking FDA's distribution of methylprednisolone, which is an abortion drug, the Supreme Court came in and stayed and let the abortion drug be available because that's a Biden liberal agenda. Is consistent. Also, there's a case called Morley versus U.S. The Biden administration ran to the Supreme Court and asked them to do what's called certiorari before judgment, so no briefing on the case, and stopped Idaho from violating this congressional act that says you should be able to give people an abortion on an emergency basis. Idaho said none. So the Supreme Court came in and stopped and paused Idaho's thing so people could have access to that. That was the Supreme Court, given a liberal Biden agenda to go forward, and they said let the case percolate. Same thing they're doing with Trump. The difference is we know the impact of the Biden era thing is not the same, and Joe Biden didn't go up on an emergency basis for every time a judge blocked the COVID mandate. He just let it stand. Well, Donald Trump is doing that, and so it's even, but it's not, because the impact of Trump's policies is destruction. So Chief Justice Roberts is kind of like, this is how I want my court to be done. He needs to be aware, as Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor said, stop taking his emergency dockets. He just doesn't want to lose. Let him lose. Let him come up as normal. This is ridiculous. You see the impact on people's lives. Just stop. And they can stop, but they won't. And now his legacy is damaged. But I hope that helps you, just give you some context and framing. I'm JJ Legal. Each one teach one. Share this video with other people. Again, like I said, it might not make you feel better, but just knowing this I don't know. We're going to get this.